So let me just tell you a great story. It's a great story. It's not really a great story, but like, let's just try and have some fun with this. So there is one order in the case, one ruling that was like unequivocally in my favor, and I mean, it should not have been very suspenseful. And the only reason it was suspenseful on my end is because it did kind of seem like things were pretty corrupt at that point, but I had no proof of that, and I had not invested in collecting it. But anyway, and it was the ruling about a year after my daughter was born. This is in my case involving Miss Dietz, where let's see, the court finally, gave me real time with my daughter. For the first year, I had barely no time at all, and part of that was the coronavirus and all kinds of nonsense early on. And our case started with Judge Gentry, and she got impeached. So she didn't do it, right? That's some bad luck, dude. But anyway, and I guess the other side did not want me to spend much time with my daughter at all. And so the order came out, and it was after a hearing and all that. And right after the order came out, which it said, okay, here's going to be the schedule when Ben will have their daughter, my daughter Liliana, God bless her. It was going to start 2 weeks from that point, right? And the judge was going out of town, I guess, for annual vacation or whatever. Well deserved. I was managing 2 dockets, and again, I don't think he has a clue what's been going on, to be honest with you. So no hard feelings there. But anyway, he goes out of town. But before he goes out of town, and there's 2 weeks before the order becomes effective, Ms. Dietz, on behalf of her client, files a series of motions, what we call motions for reconsideration, which are disfavored, and basically you're going back after a judge rules and says, will you change your mind? And you can imagine those are not successful a lot, and really aren't filed a lot, and typically not appreciated. And the motion was denied. There was 1 or 2 of those, okay, and the judge went out of town. The order was becoming the order where I got more parenting time was effective on Friday, I think, and there's that 2-week period when it's in between the order coming out and then it becoming effective, right? And in between there is when the judge went out of town. And the day before, the night before, the order was to become effective, and I would have my daughter for the weekend for the first time. It's actually the first time she would spend the night at my house after a full year of being born. It was quite. I'll never forget. That weekend. And anyway, my attorney and I, at the time, became aware loosely that there was some going-ons between Ms. Dietz and Ms. Keys. And as it turned out, Ms. Dietz had, despite the judge ruling and then declining to change his mind, as soon as he went out of town, the day before the ruling, I've never heard of this, but I guess there was an effort to get a different judge to have an emergency hearing to stay the order, so that I wouldn't have my daughter for the weekend, and basically to overrule the order that the judge in our case had issued and declined at least once, and I think it was multiple times, to reconsider in that 2-week period. Whole lot of problems with this. One is you can't do that, okay? And most disconcerting was the fact that we became aware of some communications, what they call ex parte communications. That means just one party. Those are a no-no, okay? There is a whole rule, back to this whole law thing in the judicial code about no. We don't talk to the judge or the court, staff just once. So anytime you're talking to the court, right, you're copying opposing counsel. Ex parte is, for obvious reasons, that's no good. You don't do that. But since my counsel was the counsel, and he was not aware of this, it begged the question, how is this happening? And as it turned out, Ms. Dietz was having email communications with Ms. Keys. And most curiously, despite the fact that Ms. Dietz was well aware that my attorney was who he was, she was copying some old attorneys that had helped me on the case, and only those attorneys, creating the impression, at least on the surface, that the communications were not ex parte, when in fact they absolutely were. So, I can't make this up. There were a series of communications where Ms. Dietz demanded of Ms. Keys, literally demanded that another judge be found, and by golly, on my life, a hearing was set for the next day at 1:30. This order set to go into effect at 6 o'clock. After a whole slew of kind of into the early evening there, ex parte, what were in effect ex parte communications, but very deceptively camouflaged as being, communications that were not ex parte, because Ms. Dietz was copying not my current counsel, but my old counsel, right? So that I guess she could claim, oh, I forgot. But she had been corresponding for weeks with with my attorney at the time. That's a big time no-no, man. And a hearing was set up. We were so advised by Ms. Keys, with a judge from, a nearby judge on an emergency basis. And this he was going to, I guess the issue was going to be whether he would override. It was an emergency hearing where Ms. Dietz, on behalf of her client, to override the judge's order, perhaps the biggest order in the case, which had at least once, and I think twice, the judge himself had declined to overrule before he went out of town. And all of this is happening when he is out of town. I mean, this is some holy shizzle. And this is going to happen. Now, thank God that the judge who had been secured to have this completely corrupt, off the grid, what the hearing, figured it out before the actual hearing and canceled the hearing, saying that it would be not appropriate to have the hearing, which he was right on that one, and thank goodness for that man. But just one little, like, how you like that one? And that's just one, man. And that was like 2 years ago, Holy shizzle. So, there's that. Yeah, thanks.